Welcome to Intoxication Station. I'm Raymond, and today I'm going to give my impressions on the Florida Man games held at the Freedom Factory over in Bradenton, Florida. You might be asking why I don't have a shirt on, and it's because, well, I'm a little burnt, both front and rear, and it hurts to move my arms above, well, about here. So, shirts off review, got my medallion on, and with that, let's get on to the impressions. For anyone that's been in the state of Florida for more than 5 minutes or has listened to the news at any point within the past couple of dozen years, you're going to hear about Florida Man. How, if you read the news headline, it's going to be the most obscure series of letters and words strung together that make absolutely no sense. My personal favorite and one of the events that were part of the Florida Man games for this year were, well, basically robbing a drive-through window with an alligator. That was a fun event. Now, little caveat to the event as a whole, I was solo the entire time, so I could only get so much footage and coverage of the events depending on where I was, different people and businesses I ran into when I was there. From altitude, from 30,000 feet up, it was an awesome event. I am planning for next year to go. Hopefully I can get a team built up to be able to attend some of the Florida Man games that they had there. I made it all of 3 beers and a burger later before I got, well, conscripted into the mullet competition. I mean, I have it. Might as well go ahead and do it. One of the events was competitive catalytic converter stealing, the bullwhips and bad decisions. There was just so much going on there. It was, in probably the best way that I can describe it, a fever dream come to reality, and I loved every second of it. Now, it wouldn't be a food review channel at its core, and a small business promoting channel at its core as well, if I didn't take at least one photo of a piece of food that I had there, which at the event they had plenty of food options to choose from. Personally, I went with the bison burger. That was at one of the tents. Awesome product, pretty decent pricing considering it being an event. You know, usually there's going to be a somewhat of a tax that goes along with any of these events that come to the state of Florida, come to your local area. There's always going to be an event tax that goes along with it. Personally, I didn't think the pricing was all too bad considering you were getting bison and not a beef burger. I love bison. I really do. I just wish I could come across it a little bit more often, but only time will tell as far as that goes. Possibly one of the better things that I did enjoy about the event was the availability to different drink areas. Now, to step back a little bit, the Florida Man Games was held at the Freedom Factory, which the Freedom Factory is a project that Cletus McFarland started some years ago, right around the COVID time, on being a YouTuber to have his own racetrack. And fast forward a couple years, seeing all the developments, personally, just watching the channel, super entertaining guy. If you're into cars and stuff of that nature, that's his bread and butter, is going fast with some of the most obscure cars out there, dedicated race cars. And the Freedom Factory allows him to not only produce content, but throw big events just like the Florida Man Games, which was the first year that was held there. Years prior, it was held up in St. Augustine, and unfortunately, I haven't been to the ones years prior just because of scheduling. Being that I drive for Uber full-time, the Florida Man Games always ended up around the same time that Daytona Bike Week happens over in Daytona. And for me, that's a big money event. I can't miss out on that. I was very fortunate this year for the scheduling to line up to where I could attend that and thoroughly enjoy it instead of doing a speed run through there, getting a quick summary of the place and getting out. Because ultimately, I'm here to give my impressions on the event. So, with all that said, let's get it. When you pull into the Freedom Factory, you're met by a quarter-mile drag strip once you're going down the road, and that was going to be the start of a great day, in my opinion. Now, I did opt for the VIP passes just because of some of the perks that go along with it. Shade, special access to different parts of the events area, a little bit more up close and personal, if you will, for the Florida Man Games as a whole. You go in there, part of the VIP perks was great parking, which if I don't have to walk as much as I don't need to, I won't. When it comes to the Florida Man games, if they are going to be held at the Freedom Factory again next year, I would highly recommend spending the extra money on doing the VIP just for parking's sake. From there, you walk right into the venue, you go through security, they double check all the passes and everything. You walk in through a first set of gates into kind of like a marquee area. It's similar to how you would do a movie theater where go through, get your tickets, you have your concessions at the racetrack itself. Plenty of opportunities to get booze there. Now, one thing that I did get was a nifty little cooler. And surprisingly enough, for what they were charging for this, 4 beers and you get a free cooler. For free cooler, you cannot beat this. I mean, it held ice the entire day that I was there. Awesome little product, super convenient. Loved it. But you go there, then you go into the main racetrack area where you just seen the gloriness that the Florida Man Games was having. Now, I did my best on trying to capture as much video footage while I was there because, once again, even though it is a big public event, I do want to respect people's privacy when it comes to doing recordings of these things. Just a little caveat there. I'm always going to respect that before anything else. When you go from the main stands all the way down to the track, you're greeted by a bunch of different vendors, everything from food. They have a lot of 3D printer stands there. For people that manufacture stuff via 3D printing, a lot of cool stuff. Kind of forgot to go back and, purchase something. But either way, I was able to obtain quite a bit of cards, so maybe there's a couple of Interbrews episodes coming from this event. Now, first pass around the track, you got to see the main area where they were holding all the events themselves. Like I said before, it was a fever dream that came to reality, and I loved every second of it. Between just all the obscure things that you see or hear of in Florida, they were able to have a dedicated event towards that in some capacity. One of my favorite ones was the mechanical gator that they had there. Friggin' hilarious. Another thing that I want to add to that was the weather. And now, I can't think of a better day to have a big event like that than when this day was being held. It was low 80s, very sunny, hence the burnage. It was just an all around great time. In the short side of things, I'm going again next year. Hopefully, you guys will attend it as well. Were there any cons to the event? Honestly, I can't find any cons out of it. It was a great venue area. Not only did they have actual bathrooms, which when it comes to events, you're usually relegated to porta potties and stuff like that. We all understand that. But to have actual restrooms there was a big plus. They also had your porta potties there as well too, which with that many people being in and out between the main concessions area, the VIP area, the standard areas, it only made sense to have as many accommodations as possible for everyone that was there. Another thing I would like to add on is, quite possibly the people. The people are what really made the event at the end of the day. Because when it comes to just different demographics of people, let's go ahead and start off with that. With different demographics and events that pertain to that particular person or culture or preference of music, whatever the case may be, you are going to find someone that may be a little bit on the pretentious side, a gatekeeper, if you will, and that just did not exist here. I don't believe I've came across a more genuine set of just random people throughout an event, and the people are what really made it. Because, yeah, Florida Man has a bad rap. Florida Man has a lot of crazy stories when it comes to, like, all the goofy stuff that happens in the news. Some of which is funny, some of which is kind of terrifying, too. But you just didn't see that here at the event. And I met a lot of people from everywhere, as far as Oregon, as far north as Maine, all the way out from California, all over the United States. Even spoke to some people from Canada that came to the event while they were in the local area. And quite honestly, I didn't see one upset person in the place. Personally, I didn't feel like that I was overcharged for the VIP ticket. General admission was very respectable considering what all was there. And I really think that it was a great price per entertainment dollar conversion than doing anything else short of like a beer festival or a big food event or anything of that nature. But that's also my personal preference as well, too. I just honestly don't think that you go to a better event for the price that they were charging. Now, full caveat, full disclosure, VIP tickets were about $130 after taxes and fees and everything. And I genuinely thought that I got my money's worth out of the ticket while being there. I also got to meet a lot of cool people that are on way bigger platforms than I'm on. And yeah, hopefully with the channel, I would like to be in the same spot that they are in a professional aspect one of these days. Um, I was able to talk to the iconic OMG It's Wix. I didn't get any video of him just because he had cameras in his face. The last thing I want to do is stick another one in his face. Yeah, respecting his privacy and what have you. And also did get to meet the Freedom Factory team and the infamous Cletus McFarlane himself. Super genuine people, considering how much ruckus and how raucous the event was. They were professional to the T. They made time for anybody that wanted to see them and speak with them, take photos with them in between events, during the event itself. It's a great time. I had a lot of fun. I genuinely had a lot of fun going to the event, and I do plan on doing it again next year. I am going to do it a little differently though, because if it is held at the Freedom Factory again next year, I do plan on doing the whole camper thing, which, according to my GPS, whenever I looked it up originally, it said that it was an 80-mile drive. And I don't know where the GPS was getting its location from, but that was a 2 hour and 15-minute drive there and another 2 hour and 15-minute drive back, all in the same day, plus enjoying the time out there, being in the heat all day. It was a little much for me. I've done extensive days before. Whenever I do reviews of different restaurants, distilleries, and breweries, I usually knock out a couple in the same day just to get the best time in for what little time I do have to spare on it. However, I can say I was tapped out. I was absolutely tapped out at the end of the day from just an energy perspective. And I don't think I made it home more than 10 minutes before I was completely zonked out. Definitely a lot going on at the event, but I loved every second of it. The best way that I can describe it would be the same feeling that a 5-year-old has after being at Disney all day, but with way more alcohol involved in it. Which brings up the different selections of alcohol that they had up there. Now, being the Florida Man Games, there was zero craft brews being tossed out. No one's looking for an IPA. No one's looking for, we're out of season for Dunkels, but no one was looking for that. It was predominantly Mech Ultra and Busch Light. And honestly, considering how warm it was, how much sunlight was out there, and very little shade, which I think would be my only complaint about the event, the lack of shade. But yeah, you're in the middle of a racetrack. Racetracks really aren't known for having a lot of trees around. Let's be honest, it's kind of a safety hazard. I digress. There was no fancy stuff going on. Now, I did see people from all different walks of life when I was there. Every walk of life that ranged all the way from, working at Walmart to being CEOs of multi-million-dollar companies and everything in between. And there was zero judgment all across the board. Absolutely loved the event. I really did, because I've never seen the Florida spirit come together like that and no one got in a fight. I only seen one person peek their brains out. It's bound to happen at some point at these bigger events. If it's one thing that I can say, I will try to make it to another event at the Freedom Factory if it isn't the Florida Man Games, but ultimately I am going back to the Florida Man Games for the 2027 year. I feel cheated that I didn't go in the years past for the event, and I'm definitely going to have to make up for it in later times. If you are going to attempt the Florida Man Games for next year, definitely get your tickets in advance. They have regular admission, VIP admission, can get you better parking, and they also have the option for RV parking from the day before to the day after the event. And if you were to bring an RV there or tent or anything of that nature, they do have a special event just for the night before that is going to be just for the people in the campers and trailers. I will be doing that next year because based off of the people that I did speak to that did bring their RV or camped out at the event, I really missed out on some pretty cool Floridan action that was going on. And, well, I can't miss that. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't relay it over to you guys. Intel, awesome food options, plentiful amount of beer being tossed around out there, awesome people, both participating in the events and attending the event, just all around. I can't speak highly of it. I really can't. Beautiful location based off of what some of the prior year competitors and event goers did tell me. There is a lot more shade up in St. Augustine where it was held at in years prior. So gonna try to hope for more shade next year, but can only do what you can do. One thing I will be doing next year is wearing something with long sleeves to keep the sun off me because I am roasty, toasty, just not having a great time today. That was a problem for tomorrow yesterday and paying for the consequences of it. No regrets. If you want to go to an event that's going to scream Florida at its finest while being funny and serious at the same time, the Florida Man Games is where it's at. It really is. I will be doing my best to roll out some little snippets throughout the week on the event. If given the chance to, you should 100% go to the Florida Man Games if it's convenient for you, or if you have friends going, or if you want to participate in the full thing. Definitely get the passes to park an RV or a trailer there and make a whole weekend out of it. I really cannot say anything negative about the event. It's not in my soul to do so. With that, thank you so much for listening to me. Sorry for not wearing the shirt because burnt. And well, that's my impressions of the Florida Man Games. My name's Raymond with Intoxication Station, and we'll catch you on the next one. This is one hell of a food review. Slice of pizza and a Gatorade Gator Light from the racetrack over by the Freedom Factory. Tell you what, I can't ask for anything better.